Welcome back to Fun Music, everybody. As promised, a very special episode 614 featuring a very special guest from Philadelphia, Bruce Neat, who has something to say about, you guessed it, Philadelphia.
Billy, of course, of course. Yeah, I grew up in South Jersey, right across the river from Philadelphia. So that's my chosen big city. Um, we're going to talk about musicians from Philadelphia, particularly some more contemporary indie artists who are most of them are still performing right now. Um, and just give you a little background about the music scene in Philadelphia. It may not be as iconically historic as some of the other cities like Nashville, Memphis, New Orleans, San Francisco, but it does have a rich heritage of its own, from jazz to rock to hip hop and soul. Some jazz greats such as Billie Holiday, John Coltrane, Stanley Clarke, and Jill Scott have called Philadelphia home at some point in their lives or careers. American Bandstand, which was hosted by legendary Dick Clark, was broadcast from Philadelphia for the first couple of decades of its life, bringing established and rising artists as well as the latest dance crazes to TVs of young audiences across the country. Some homegrown Philly rock and roll artists include Bobby Rydell, Fabian, Frankie Avalon, Chubby Checker, and Patti LaBelle. The soul music scene was vibrant too, thanks largely to the producers Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, who in the 70s launched the careers of acts like the Stylistics, the OJs, and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes and their breakout star Teddy Pendergrass. Their Philly soul sound with lush orchestral arrangements and their in-house band MFSB became a trademark musical signature. Some later great groups who hit it big in soul and hip hop include Boyz II Men, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, aka Will Smith, and The Roots. Mainstream rock and pop had its Philly bred stars too, like Todd Rundgren, Jim Croce, Hall & Oates, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, the Hooters, and the Dead Milkmen. And if you take a walk down Market Street in Philadelphia in the theater district around the area of the Kimmel Center and the Academy Music, you'll find a sidewalk that has brass plaques in it that are dedicated to some famous musical Philadelphians. It's kind of an interesting landmark there. Well, the main focus today is on Philly-based bands of indie rock. I'm going to take a look at a few recent and current artists that I think stand out from the crowd. And I would love to share some musical clips with you, but we tried that before. This is our take two broadcast, and we had some problems with licensing and permission, so we weren't able to share those clips. But I will try on the Facebook page and possibly the YouTube page to share some links to some of the music of these bands and artists, because I think you'll enjoy them. So number one is Marah. Marah can be best described as a roots rock band. They were founded in the 90s by and led by the brothers Dave and Serge Belenko. They collaborated with artists such as Bruce Springsteen and Steve Earle, and also with author Sarah Vowell. And they've been reviewed favorably by the likes of Nick Hornby and Stephen King. King wrote in a 2005 Entertainment Weekly review that their album, If You Didn't Laugh, You Cry, was the best rock album of 2005. Their earlier career was based in Philadelphia when they released their first two albums, Let's Cut the Crap and Hook Up Later Tonight and Kids in Philly. Their songs endeared themselves to local fans with local place names like Point Breeze and Walt Whitman Bridge. And their first several albums won lots of critical acclaim, including 2005's aforementioned If You Didn't Laugh, You Cry, and 2008's Angels of Destruction. Excuse me. They also produced a Christmas album and several live albums. Their live performances were legendary, and they embarked on several international tours. Since moving their base of operations to Brooklyn, their production and performance has been less frequent, and they've gone through a number of personnel changes. Their last album was a folk album called Mountain Minstrelsy of Pennsylvania, which was released in 2014, and they last performed publicly as a band in 2015. Some recommended songs from their catalog include Poor People and Demon of White Sadness from If You Didn't Laugh, You Cry, and Point Breeze, which is from their Kids in Philly album. Number two, Dr. Dog. Formed in 1999, Dr. Dog's influences include lo-fi bands of the 80s like Sonic Youth, Guided by Voices, and Pavement, but also classic bands of the 60s like the Beatles and the Beach Boys, as evidenced by their tight vocal harmonies. One of their biggest early breaks was an invitation to tour with My Morning Jacket. Their early albums had a lo-fi sound, but later albums became more ambitious productions. They've had some degree of commercial success. Their three albums released between 2010 and 2013, called Shame, Shame, Be the Void, and The B Room, made the top 50 album charts and the top 10 indie album charts. For my money, though, their 2008 album Fate is one of their best, and two of the highlights from that album are a very strong ballad called From, and the mini epic that closes the album, My Friend. The latter song really echoes the Beach Boys with its harmonies, psychedelic style production, and the rival the trippiest Brian Wilson project, and even a closing with railroad sound effects, like they had on Pet Sounds. Dr. Dog retired from touring in 2021, but they still exist as a band, and they released their latest album, which was self-titled, in 2024. Some other recommended songs from their catalog include Shadow People and Lonesome. Number 3, The War on Drugs. This is arguably the most commercially successful of the artists I'm discussing today. They began as a collaboration between Philly musicians Adam Grandiseel and Kurt Vile in 2005. Vile left the band after the debut album Wagon Wheel Blues in 2008 to pursue his solo career. Their music has been variously described as indie rock, neo-psychedelia, heartland rock, and Americana. But the most interesting description I've heard is that they sound like Bruce Springsteen backed by Dire Straits. Grandiseel cites his favorite contemporary band, Wilco, as a big influence. Grandiseel has also been the only consistent member of the band through several personnel changes, but they've enjoyed widespread success and critical acclaim. Each of their last 3 albums, Lost in the Dream, A Deeper Understanding, and I Don't Live Here Anymore, reached the top 30 on the pop charts and pop album charts. And Lost in the Dream and Deeper Understanding were both certified gold records by the RIAA. A Deeper Understanding also won the Grammy Award for Best Rock Album in 2018. Grandiseel and the band have also collaborated with artists such as Beyonce, Sharon Van Etten, Lucius, and Craig Finn on Hold Steady. In fact, the War on Drugs are the backing band for Craig's new solo album, Always Been. Some recommended songs from their catalog: Baby Missiles from their earlier album called Slave Ambient, Under the Pressure, and Pain. Number 4, Kurt Vile. Despite the beliefs to the contrary, Kurt Vile is not a stage name. That's a wordplay on the famous German songwriter Kurt Weill, spelled W-E-I-L-L. He spells it V-I-L-E, and it is his given name. As mentioned before, he was the original member of War on Drugs and departed after the first album, launching a successful solo career. He cites Randy Newman, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, and Bruce Springsteen as musical influences. Although his music has since a wide range of influences, from Pavement and Ween to John Prine and John Fahey. His music is folk rock with a laid-back stoner vibe and self-reflective stream of consciousness lyrics. He performs at times with a loose assemblage of musicians known as collectively as Kurt Vile and the Violators, and his albums have been quite popular in the indie music world. Several of them have reached the top 100 in the pop charts, and 4 of his singles made the top 40 on the adult album alternative charts, beginning with Pretty Pimpin', which went to number 1 on the AAA charts in 2015. He's released about 20 EPs. He's recorded an excellent duet album with Courtney Barnett in 2017 called Lava Sea Lice. My favorite album of his, I think, though, is 2018's Bottle It In, which features the single Loading Zones and a laconic, rambling, hazy epic called Bass Ackwards. Some other recommended songs from him: Over Everything, which is one of his duets with Courtney Barnett, and Mount Airy Hill, subtitled Way Gone. Number 5, Japanese Breakfast. They're a Philly-based indie pop band fronted by Michelle Zauner, who writes most of their songs. She's a Korean American who grew up in Oregon and was a graduate of Bryn Mawr College near Philadelphia. She founded the band as a side project in 2013 while still leading her previous group called Little Big League. Japanese Breakfast released 4 albums: Psycho Pomp in 2016, which was partly inspired by her mother, who died of cancer in 2014. Soft Sounds from Another Planet in 2017, Jubilee in 2021, and just this year she released For Melancholy Brunettes and Sad Women. In 2022, the band received 2 Grammy nominations for Best Alternative Music Album for Jubilee and Best New Artist. Musically, the band has elements of lo-fi, dream pop, and indie rock, and Zollner handles the lead vocals with a sweet girlish soprano. She's also composed ambient music as a soundtrack for the video game Sable and has directed some of the band's music videos. And she's also a best-selling author. Her memoir, Crying in H Mart, spent over a year on the New York Times bestseller list and made many Best of the Year book lists. She's married to Peter Bradley, who's the band's lead guitarist. And some recommended songs from Japanese Breakfast include Be Sweet and Paprika from the Jubilee album and Orlando in Love from her brand new album. And those are my 5 current favorite bands from Philly.
You know, interestingly enough, when we were doing the research to attempt to do videos, in this video, I saw Japanese Breakfast do an interview on Jimmy Kimmel about the fact they have a song called Jimmy Kimmel, Big Jimmy Kimmel or something.
Yeah, I think that's on the Psychopomp album, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fun to hear.
Yeah,
And I
they've
really
been
enjoyed their Glastonbury performance. That
yeah,
was
yeah. I'm
really
glad you
good.
found that. That was this year's Glastonbury.
Yeah, and it was just
Yeah,
a couple days ago.
yeah, yeah.
So
She's a pretty
recommended
dynamic
viewing.
performer. And there was they actually were there was actually some rumors in the works that they were going to turn her novel or a memoir rather into a movie, but that kind of got put on hold for a little while. So, but anyway, she's a multi-talented artist for sure.
I just remembered the story. All right, so she was in a band before that was called something Big League or something.
Little Big League, yeah.
Yeah. And I think some player in that band left the band thinking
Mm-hmm.
they're going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he wanted to be in a band that was big enough to be on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, okay.
And then ironically, right, Japanese Breakfast brings him back because he was going nowhere, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And Japanese Breakfast gets on Jimmy Kimmel. So
So he did get his wish.
dream
Not the way you
fulfilled,
expect,
just
though.
not linear.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, that's a great eye opener for Philadelphia music, current Philadelphia music that's independent. I really enjoyed these videos, so I'm sure that Bruce will post them both in YouTube and on Facebook, our Facebook group, Find Music. It'll be below this video,
Mm-hmm.
where you'll find it all. Okay.
Right. All right.
Episode 614. Thank you, Bruce.
Okay. And go
Time to
Phils.
start a posting.
Take care. Thanks.